Hi, my name is Dr. Sabina Devita, and it just gives me great joy to be able to share with you a little bit about my story and why I wrote my books and the passion behind them, and certainly why I became even involved with Young Living Essential Oils. But it just takes me back to a number of years ago when I was quite ill. Actually, it doesn't perhaps look that way today, but back 25 plus years ago, I was experiencing a number of chemical sensitivities, and what I find interesting is how today there are really not too many people that are familiar with multiple chemical sensitivities or environmental illness. Matter of fact, back then when I was doing my doctoral work in this particular area of chemical sensitivities, it was referred to as 20th century disease. And I find that fascinating that here we are, and so many people 20 plus years later are truly still, even more so, having problems with the chemicals in our environment. Now, when I think back to myself, I was to such a degree that I was having all kinds of allergies to the environment and allergies to foods, and just not knowing that it was a lot to do with the pesticides and the herbicides and the food additives and the color agents and just a whole host of these types of contaminants. But worse than that, it was also what was in my environment. Perfumes or even soaps. It was so severe that at one point I was reacting to the chlorine in my shower. I would just put the shower on and I would just break out. It looked like, I'm wearing red today, but I would be like in red all over my body. It looked like I had broken out in hives. And I didn't realize that it was the chlorine in the water at the time. Of course, I sought professional help. And unfortunately, I say unfortunately, because the traditional way of getting help at that time for myself was to get allergy shots. And that just made me worse. I became more allergic to environmental contaminants, and particularly to plastics, because what I discovered was that what they were using in the antigen serum was actually a preservative that was made from a phenol base, which is actually made from a plastic. It's actually used in making plastics. So I became more sensitive to those types of things in my environment. And so one thing led to the next. And I just realized that I couldn't go on like that. And so I sought a different way of healing myself. And it was through a natural way of healing myself. But during that process, I was also discovering, by deciding to do my doctoral work in the area of chemical sensitivities and particularly brain allergies, because what I discovered for myself was that I was reacting to things in my environment and in my food, but it was affecting me. It was impacting me cerebrally, meaning that my mind. I would be feeling just happy and just what I would call normal, and I could just literally dip and start crying for unknown reasons. And it was to that degree. So I just realized that if I was experiencing this, what about other people in my environment? What about other people in my circles? So I decided to do it as my doctoral research work. And it just opened up a whole host of just fascinating information. Well, I'm just going to condense this at this point because it's a long journey of 20 years, but it took me to understand that, wow, things really do impact us, specifically these toxins, these chemicals, and they haven't decreased. If anything, they have increased in our environment and in our homes. So what I discovered back then was the role of how important it is to make the change. Now, when I discovered that for myself and made the change, I went completely organic. I cleaned my home. I couldn't have carpet in my home. I couldn't even use gas burning heat in my home. I had to go electric because there was off-gassing from that. I mean, I couldn't use certain paints. I had to go completely, it was like literally, I had to build a home in the country, matter of fact, because it had to be to that degree. But what I discovered with that as I went into a natural way of helping other people, I opened up a private practice. I was a teacher in the school system at the time, and I decided that I probably would be in a better place to help many more people by opening up a private practice in psychology, but it was an environmental psychologist, eco-psychologist, a kind of a new way of doing a nutritional psychologist, so that I could help people understand themselves and their environment and what they were eating, and certainly making that difference. And it did. It made a huge difference. And I didn't have to advertise. People were coming from all over to seek out my services. I also became involved in an area of energy medicine because it helped me, and it was in the area of kinesiology, applied kinesiology. It was a way of muscle testing. So I could muscle test for myself and, of course, other people in my circles and in my practice. And that led me to Egyptian dowsing, it led me to other energy healing modalities, and eventually it led me into, of course, Young Living essential oils. And it was during that process that I saw patterns with people. I became involved in another technology many years later, what was called Kirlian bioelectrography. Photography. It was a type of photography, but it really was Kirlian analysis or biofield, energy field analysis. And it started to show me other things about what was going on with people in their energy fields and what I saw happening to them. Well, putting a lot of that together, seeing clients, teaching people in many different cultures for many years, I saw that there were certain patterns, number one. And secondly, I also noticed that a lot of people were not aware of their indoor environments and their chemicals, their what they were using as soaps or what they were using in their laundry, cleaning their homes, what they were using on their skin, what they were shampooing with, of course, what they were eating. So I realized I'm going to write about it. And so that led me to authoring. I did author a number of books. This is probably my third or fourth book, and I want to really focus on this one. And the book is called Vibrational Cleaning. And that became a way to focus on what chemicals are doing to us, what chemicals do to the home environment, and how we can make them a safe haven. And I love to call it the haven, making our homes a safe haven, because it really is a way to move into making our homes heaven on earth. I love to play with the word energy, E for energy, and adding E to haven really creates the word heaven. So how can we create a very sacred, very special place, a very blessed place, a very spiritual place in our homes? And that became very significant for me. And so vibrational cleaning is really truly about taking you on that journey from the chemicals in our home, how to change from that, and moving into how to use essential oils. And essential oils can create that very sacred, special, spiritual place for all of us, besides what they can do in our cleaning. And especially now that we have the Thieves cleaners and the Thieves laundry detergents and many of these other wonderful, safe, plant-based, environmentally friendly cleaners in our home. So with that, it has led me also to combine another piece of my research, and that was in the area of the brain. And I so enjoy to really share this with you and with many people out there because of what I noticed and what I experienced. I noticed that many people have been bombarded right here, the brain. And specifically what I noticed, what was happening to the pineal gland. And it was in that I continued to delve into both electromagnetic frequencies, meaning from cell phones, from Wi-Fi's, etc., which, by the way, is in my book. I have a chapter devoted to some of the wonderful research that has been found in what it does to the brain, and also with the chemicals. and specifically what the oils will help us with. So vibrational cleaning takes people on that journey. I'd like to also add that there's a wonderful quote that I use from Leonardo da Vinci, who once said that blinding ignorance does mislead us. O wretched mortals, open your eyes. And so for me, this is truly to awaken people, awaken you, to opening your eyes to who you are and what you are capable of. And the amount of wonderful, sacred information that is available to us by opening and improving our capabilities. My sequel book, called Your Right to Know, Vibrational Cleaning Guidebook, takes the reader on another addition to the journey, more certainly about the oils, but more about what happens in the kitchen and what you can do differently, and also to hygienic and food preparation and food preservation, and also with the environment and making it a little bit easier to follow through with some of the techniques of cleaning in an unusual way, different way, and stimulating, again, that us, our abilities, and the superpowers of what we can do by using the superpowers of these oils. What I love to say is really keeping it simple. Oils, essential oils, are light. They're captured light. And what I discovered with the brain is we really are light beings. And so when we take these light essences and we use them for who we are as light beings, wow, we really are truly increasing that superpower ability of what we have. So I encourage you to not only delve into that book, but another book called Saving Face, which also will help you to make that change. Albert Einstein once said that the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and that the rational mind is a faithful servant. But we have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. My mission and my love and passion is to help to awaken the intuitive abilities of who we are and to make a difference on this planet by the awakening process. So I welcome you to awaken and to make a difference for yourself and those that you love around you, and obviously to the world. So thank you.